Welcome back here inside Willard Stadium on the campus of High Point University, High Point, North Carolina. A perfect setting for this one, as it certainly feels like an early spring day. We go to the top of the fourth inning. High Point leading it 2-0 as they lead it over the Eagles. We have a new pitcher in the game for the Panthers. They're going to go to a left-hander. It looks like it's going to be number 37, Cooper Jeffers. And that's exactly who it is. So after 2 effective innings this time by Harrison Smith, they now go to Jeffers to keep it going. Again, if you're wondering why the Panthers pitching a shutout going to a bullpen this early, they really had no choice. Andrew Gottfried, and we still have not received an update on him yet, but he left the game back in the first. As North Carolina Central digs in from the right side. So after 2 innings from Smith, Gottfried left the game in the first, and again, no word on him yet. Digging in from the right side. First pitch swung on, hit on the ground, left side of the infield, in the hole, one hop throw, unable to handle it that time, was the first baseman for High Point. That's J.J. Woodard. So reaching on what should be considered a hit that time, it is North Carolina Central. And so they have a runner on with no men out. Again, that would have been a very, very difficult play and a great attempt. I mean, he was on his backhand. His momentum was pulling him towards left center and still made a respectable throw, and they do indeed score a hit. So a runner on first, nobody out. Now they throw over to first, and just getting back in that time, it was Joyce, as it's 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup for NC Central this half inning. Joyce, Bailey, and Bramall. So Joyce is off first and nearly got caught leaning. Bailey standing in left side of the plate. They play the infield in at third, expected by another throw over to first. As we are in the top of the fourth inning, our score 2-0 HPU over North Carolina Central. Taking his lead off first base again, it is Joyce. Bailey is at the plate. He's 0 for 1 so far on the afternoon. Next pitch swung on and missed. Nice pitch that time. And the count now quickly 0-2. For the Eagles, looking to make something happen here as they have a runner on first, nobody out. They really haven't put up much of a challenge to this point. Still trailing by 2 runs to the Panthers. Again, digging in for the left side. It is swung on and missed. That was another good pitch that time. And it's quickly no balls, 2 strikes. Taking his lead off first, it's Joyce. For him on the season, again, does not. He actually has 3 stolen bases on the season on 4 tries. Next pitch is off the plate, down and outside, 1-2. Tried to get him with a waste pitch. But again, Vinny Bailey was able to hold up, 1-2. Off of first goes Joyce again. So they're really trying to keep an eye. One of the speediest base runners for the Eagles. Next pitch swung on in line into right field. That's a base hit. Thinking about but wisely holding up is Joyce at second base. He was flirting with trying to make a first to third, but the right fielder played that ball too well. So he moves up to second, and the Eagles are playing station-to-station baseball. They have 2 men on and nobody out. Well struck that time. He just got something he was looking for out over the plate. And that was a 1-ball, 2-strike mistake, and it ended up in right field for a single. Eagles now have the first 2 runners on. So with 2 runners on and nobody out, here is the designated hitter, Josh Bramall, coming up to the plate for High Point. Again, expecting potentially a sacrifice. They have the third baseman playing inside the cutout over at third. At this point, the fielder's just playing behind the runners. Wonder if they were trying to set up for a fake that time, as Jeffers quickly whirled around to look at second base, so no one was covering. They have the shortstop playing and would be the one most likely to field second base. First pitch is on the outside edge, and the count 0-1. Of course, that'd be if they tried to actually make a pickoff throw there. They clearly believe from the stats and what they've seen that Bramall likes to pull things towards the middle of the field, so they have their 2 middle infielders back towards the second base bag, 1 on the right and 1 on the left. As he fakes the butt and he gets it down, but it's going to go foul. up the third baseline, and he is quickly down in the count, 0-2. On the scoreboard, 2-3-1 for High Point, 0-3-1 for North Carolina Central. High Point still leading by 2, but they're in trouble. The Eagles mounting their first real attack of the game. They have runners on first and second, and no one out. Brammel's at the plate from the left side. He'll wait an 0-2 offering. Swung on and hit high in the air down the left field line. This should be a routine play. Crossing over into foul territory, making the call on the catch with no problem for High Point. It was Sam Zajac, one gone. Meanwhile, the runners forced to retreat back to first and second. That's a big first out as they jam Brammel on the inner third with a fastball. And because of that, he wasn't able to get his arms extended. You can see he was looking to drive it to the left center field gap instead of fly ball to the left fielder. One gone, 2 runners still aboard. Here is Trey Maslin. First pitch is off the plate a little bit low. Knee high in the count, 1-0. Top half inning number 4, 2-0 High Point the score. Standing in again from the right side. Maslin standing in. He is one of their most notable offensive players. Next pitch is letter high again for a called first strike, 1-1. To this point in the season, he has 17 plate appearances. That's one of the most on the team for the Eagles. So certainly when he comes up, they always feel good, especially now with the tying runs already on base. It'll be a 1-1 for the lefty Jeffers. Swung on, potential double play ball. Shortstop to second one. Return throw to first, not in time. Fouled by the first baseman. Doesn't know where the baseball is, and that's going to allow a run to score. Again, the first baseman unable to handle the throw, and then it was behind him. He didn't know where it was, so they alertly sent Joyce to the plate. Good heads-up base running that time. And then the top half of inning number 4, HPU 2 and North Carolina Central 1. So reaching safely on the fielder's choice. And now Jeffers drove to first and got him. They picked him off. How about that? So after the Eagles get on the board, all of a sudden Maslin no sooner gets picked off, so he gets a fielder's choice, RBI. He reached first and then is immediately thrown out at first. He got caught leaning. Take this to the home half of the 4th. Home half inning number 4 from Willard Stadium on the campus of High Point University. 2-1 HPU our score. And in the top of the 4th, that was a crazy sequence of events in the span of about 2 pitches, if that. First, North Carolina Central got on the board because of the fielder's choice, but when the return throw couldn't be handled, because of the good base running by Joyce, he came across the score, so the RBI does officially go to Maslin. He gets an RBI on that. You can't assume a double play. And that allowed it to get to 2-1, but then Maslin just got too cocky out there on first. He was caught leaning, and he was out by a good 1.5 miles. Just a great play all the way around. That's the advantage of having a left-hander on the mound. He had a clear look over at first, and because of that crazy sequence, North Carolina Central got their first run of the game. For Maslin, that's RBI 7 on the season, but they're still losing 2-1 to HPU as we now head to the home half of the 4th. And in this inning, it is going to be 5, 6, and 7, beginning with J.J. Woodard. He'll stand in from the right side of the plate. First pitch is across the inside corner, letter high, 0-1. 2-1 High Point our score. On the scoreboard, 2-3-1 for the Panthers, 1-3-1 for the Eagles. It'll be an 0-1. Swung on and grounded well. Foul outside the third base bag, and the count 0-2. So far in the game for Woodard, he is 0 for 1, and that drops his average down to .417 on the year. Woodard standing back in again from the right side of the plate. If nothing else, he's trying to make Bell work a little here as he's in his 4th inning of work. Next pitch is swung on and fouled straight back, and the count remains 0-2. So for Woodard, was able to spoil that pitch and foul it away. for the Panthers. Now that this game a little bit has started to swing in favor of the Eagles, we'll see how High Point responds. We'll see if they continue the good offensive momentum they had back in the second inning when they scored their 2 runs of the game. And who was the one that started that off? It was Woodard. And then, of course, the error by the third baseman, Bailey. And the rest, as they say, is history as High Point went on to score those 2 runs. Next pitch is in tight upstairs as he turned off the plate. And Woodard from down 0-2 is able to work his way back in the count. We're in the bottom of the 4th. HPU still leading by 1, 2-1 over the Eagles. Woodard digs in again from the right side of the plate. The 1-2 is swung on, hit high in the air and well down the right field line, now carrying over, making a nice running grab over the shoulder that time was the right fielder Hernandez, and boy, he had to cover a lot of real estate there. He was playing a little bit more towards the right center field gap, and that ball was taken by the wind. It had a lot of carry to it, but Hernandez was still able to make the running catch, racing into foul ground for the first out.
Number 28.
One away and nobody on.
Zajac.
This will bring up Sam Zajac, the left fielder, number 6 in the lineup for the Panthers. One away and nobody on. First pitch in is on the outside corner, and the count 0-1. Dinging in from the left side of the plate again, Zajac. He'll wait for the 0-1 offering. Swung on and a weak swing. It's a foul tip off the glove of the catcher, and the count quickly 0-2. In the bottom of the 4th, our score 2-1 HPU as they still lead it by a run. Ding back in from the left side of the plate, Zajac. He'll wait an 0-2 count. Swung on and hit high in the air to straightaway left field, but settling right underneath it. No problem for Williams. Makes the play. 2 up, 2 down. So a good start here. You got to give Bell credit. He had kind of a rough second inning for sure, and he had a rough first as well, but he got out of it. And really, since that point, he has locked it in. HPU has had a hard time again getting any sort of offense generated. And because of that, he's holding his team in the game. This would be huge for the Eagles. If he could get out of this inning without giving up a run, knowing his offense just got back on the board in the top half of this frame. First pitch is down and inside at the shoelaces, 1-0. Bottom of the 4th inning from HPU and Willard Stadium, 2-1 our score. High Point with the 1-run edge. John Carubba bringing you through this one. Next pitch is swung on and ripped just foul down the left field line. Boy, he missed extra bases by only a matter of inches, and the count is even, 1-1. That's kind of been the way it's been going for Russell, but he was key in the bottom of the 2nd by reaching via the error by the third baseman Costin. He would then come around to score on the 2 RBI single by Trent Harris. That right now stands up to be the difference in the game. In the bottom of the 4th inning, 2-1 HPU, 2-3-1 for the Panthers, 1-3-1 for North Carolina Central. Ready to go from the first base side. Next pitch is down off the plate, low and inside, 2-1. Again, Russell digging in from the right side of the plate. Bell ready to go. Goes into a wind, the 2-1 is down and inside, and the count now quickly 3-1. Bottom of the 4th inning, HPU protecting the 1-run lead. On deck is Trent Harris, so if Russell could reach, maybe he can create some 2-out magic again. And he'll have a chance as the pitch is down and inside. Ball gets away from the catcher. Russell with the turnaround first, but he decides to hold on right there as he's aboard with a 2-out free pass. So 2 gone and a runner on first. It keeps the inning alive for Harris. We saw what happened the last time. He has the big difference in the game. The 2-run single to left field. Because of that, High Point does have the advantage. And now we're going to have a pinch hitter. Harris had the 2 RBIs, but it's not Harris anymore. They're actually going to go to Nick Niarchos. He'll stand in from the right side. Niarchos has it as he's at the plate. Niarchos standing in now. He'll step out. Again, Niarchos, I should say, is in. This is concerning here if you're HPU. First pitch is letter high over the inside corner, 0-1 for Niarchos overall on the season. He's been struggling, but for High Point, both their starting pitcher, Gottfried, and now the player that put them in front to begin with, Trent Harris, are both out of the game. Next pitch is letter high over the outside corner, 0-2. So Nick Niarchos comes into the game. Trent Harris is out. Harris leaves with that 2 RBI single. So Niarchos is standing back in from the right side of the plate. And now they throw it to first, but that's low. So Russell gets back in well ahead of the tag. So Niarchos takes over at second base. Russell is still the base runner on first. We're in the bottom of the 4-2-1 HPU. On deck is the catcher, Brian Rawl. Again, just as with Gottfried, another check throw over to first. Nothing doing that time. Once we hear more about Harris, we will let you know. Niarchos stands back in for the right side of the plate. Taking his lead off first is Russell. Bell getting ready as he comes set. Pitches down and inside, and they almost caught Russell again. It looked like he wanted to make a break for second. At the last second stopped, stumbled, and then the catcher thought about making a throw down to first, but Russell alertly dove back in and got in there. There was no tag applied, but for Russell, he's lucky he didn't get picked off. A little bit of a bizarre play there as Niarchos stands back in for the right side. He'll await the pitch, and it is swung on and missed. No foul tip as he missed it completely, and that'll do it for High Point in the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 man left stranded. We'll take this to the 5th. 4 in the books from HPU, 2-1 Panthers over North Carolina Central on ESPN+. Back here inside the campus of High Point University, Willard Stadium. Just an absolutely perfect day for baseball. A little bit windy and a little bit chilly as we've reached the later stages, but still a great day for baseball. As we head to the top of the 5th, our score 2-1 HPU. They lead it by 1 over North Carolina Central. So after that injury to Trent Harris, he's out of the game. Nick Niarchos is taking over. He'll play second base. Meanwhile, Cooper Jeffers is into the game for his second inning of work. So for North Carolina Central, they've kept everybody healthy on the field. You can't say that about the Panthers right now. Their starter left the game, Andrew Gottfried, after the first inning. And now the player that was responsible for giving High Point the lead, Trent Harris, he's also out of the game. So we'll have to find out. If we can't get any word yet, we'll have to find out post-game whether it's injury or maybe in this case they just went to the defensive substitution, but Harris was pinch hit for in the bottom of the 4th. As we go to the 5th inning, 2-1 HPU, North Carolina Central up. First pitch is on the outside edge, and the count 0-1.
Have you used it yet?
As we are here in the top of the 5th. And for the Eagles trying to work their way back in the game after falling down by 2, they have managed to get a run back. As we have a new player in the game for North Carolina Central, as he looks at a fastball on the outside edge, 0-2. It's going to be Nick Fajardo, the freshman outfielder. He takes over, so he'll stand in left side. Again, as we start to get towards the middle to late stages of this game, you'll start to see the managers tinker with their lineups a little bit. 0-2 is downstairs and inside. Tried to get him to chase, and the count 1-2. John Carubba taking you through this one. Thank you for tuning in along ESPN+. Our score on the 5th, High Point 2 and North Carolina Central 1. Fajardo digs back in for the left side of the plate. He'll await the 1-2 offering. It is high and outside, and the count 2-2. For Fajardo, he's certainly gotten a heavy workload early in the season why he didn't start this one, because he's already played and started in quite a few of the games, 5 to this point in the year. Next pitch is swung on, and that's going to be an opposite field base hit, a frozen rope line drive into left, and a good start here for the Eagles. They have the leadoff man aboard. So Fajardo does his job. He comes off the bench. He gets a spark going with the leadoff hit. So runner on first, nobody out. Eagles still hitting here. It is their 4th hit of the ball game. 1 run on 4 hits and 1 error for the Eagles. 2 runs on 3 hits and 1 error for the HPU Panthers. So after the leadoff hit, the inning continues for Miles Costin, the third baseman. Throw over to first, and again gets back in. Avoids the sweeping tag that time. One thing that the Eagles are going to be more careful about, after Maslin got picked off in the last half inning, with Cooper Jeffers out there, he is a very good pick move to first, especially being a left-hander. First pitch is off the plate, and the count is now 2-0. 2-1 High Point our score in the 5th inning. Again, taking his lead off first base, and standing in from the right side of the plate, it is Costin. It'll be a 2-0 offering this time for Jeffers. And he now throws back over to first again, and getting back in safely with the right hand, it is Fajardo. For North Carolina Central, they watched Maslin get picked off for Jeffers. Again, as we mentioned, very good pick move. So the Eagles going to have to be careful of that. Next pitch is high and inside. Force them to lean off the plate, and now the count 2-0. The Eagles once again threatening to get something going. They have the leadoff man on, and a 2-0 count to one of their better hitters as Costin stands in from the right side of the plate. The pitch off the plate inside again, and 3-0. And Jeffers really starting to flirt with some danger here. He's 1 ball away from walking and allowing the first 2 hitters to reach in the inning. As it'll be a 3-0, we'll see if they give him the green light. It is on the inside corner as Costin was taken all the way. In Costin's defense, that's probably the right move right there. First, Jeffers wasn't throwing a lot of strikes to him, and secondly, that was just a good pitch. There wasn't really a whole lot he could do with that except pop it up. The 3-ball, 1-strike offer is swung on, hit in the air to right field, and this should be no problem. Standing underneath it, making the play there, and having a little bit of a challenge for the Panthers. It is their right fielder, Wells, as the wind grabbed that ball again, but he was able to make the catch, 1 out. Meanwhile, heading back to first is Fajardo, and for the North Carolina Central Eagles, they have a runner on first, now 1 man out. Good job of bearing in that time by Jeffers, as he was down in the count 3-0 and still managed to get the out. And now they throw back over to first, and just barely getting in there was Fajardo. He's really flirting with it. It looked like they had him dead to rights on that one. Fajardo just able to get back in there with the right hand. He needs to be a little bit more careful, though. Remember, with Jeffers out there, the left-hander, he has a very good chance of picking people off. And now he's going to hit and run, and it works perfectly as it drops into right center, as going all the way to third is Fajardo, and standing on first with the big 1-out hit that time for the Eagles, it is Miles Costin. So they got runners on first and third, and 1 out. Well called hit and run that time by the manager, as Timmy Fishvot was able to just drop it in there. Again, you saw second baseman go out. He tried to get it, could not do so, and making it all the way to third was Fajardo. So now runners on the corners, 1 out. Here's Bryson Hernandez. He'll dig in for the left side. And now Butt almost wanted to call a safety squeeze, but he fouls it off. 0-1. They had Fajardo starting to run, and they had Hernandez squaring.
2018.
And boy, Hernandez really showed his cards late there. He waited until about the last possible half second as the ball reached the plate. The only problem for the Eagles, it didn't work because he fouled it off. As the count is 0-1, Eagles still have runners on the corners and 1 man out. Here comes the next pitch. Down and in, gets away for the catcher. Here comes Fajardo. He will come to the plate and score, and we have a tie game. Meanwhile, moving up to second on the play, it is Fishfot. And in the top of the fifth inning, we are tied at 2 between the Panthers and the Eagles. And the amazing thing, that ball, Karen, it didn't go all the way to the backstop. It went more towards the first baseline. But still, Fajardo with the speed, not only to get first to third on that base hit, but then came strolling down the line to score, and the game is tied. So standing now on second, the other significant part, the Eagles once again have a runner in scoring position with less than 2 outs, as Fishfot is over at second. So runner off second and 1 man out. The count is now 2-1. Pitch is on the inside corner. Boy, that looked to be a little bit low. And instead the count now even, 2-2. So because of that, and they do officially score that a wild pitch, we are tied at 2 between the Panthers and the Eagles. As they set up on the third base side of the rubber does Jeffers. Lefty on lefty, swung on and grounded foul outside the first base bag. And the count is going to hold. So for the Eagles, they've scored 2 runs successive innings. 1 run in the last inning on a fielder's choice, and now 1 run here on the wild pitch. And that's what happens when you get base runners on. Things could certainly happen. And now they throw behind the runner. They tried to pick him off at second. However, getting back in there easily on that play, it is Fishfot. As again, we are in the 5th inning, tied at 2 between High Point and North Carolina Central. Again, the pitch comes home. Swung on and missed. This time, nice job taking something off. The throw to first in time to officially get the strikeout. 2 away. Meanwhile, remaining on second, it's Fishvoigt for the Eagles. 2 gone and a runner remains on second. In the top of the 5th, we have a tie game between High Point and North Carolina Central. So 2 gone and a runner remaining on second. Back to the top of the lineup we go. It's Carter Williams standing in for the left side. On the scoreboard, 2-5-1 for North Carolina Central, 2-3-1 for the High Point Panthers. First pitch is down and outside. Good block that time, and the count 1-0. That was the catcher, Brian Rawl. He's already caught 1 base runner stealing. Overall, for his debut with this team, he's had a pretty nice afternoon, especially behind the plate. It'll be a 1-0 home. Jeffers from the third base side. And remember, with 2 outs, the runner will be off with the crack of the bat, so a base hit absolutely will give the Eagles their first lead of the afternoon. As it'll be a 1-0 in from Jeffers. It is down and inside off the plate. Count 2-0. Standing in again from the left side, Carter Williams. We know what offensive threat he can be. We mentioned what he did last season. And also, he is certainly on base. He had 100 total bases last year during his standout campaign with the MEAC and the Eagles. Next pitch is down in the dirt inside. And from 0-2, he's worked it back, and the count is even, 2-2. It'll be interesting to see what Jeffers decides to throw here. He's mixed up with fastballs and off-speed pitches. We'll see what he tries to do here to potentially finish off this pesky left-handed swinging Williams. It is down and outside, and that is a free pass as it was a full count. And so now he heads down to first with the walk, and the Eagles now have runners on first and second with 2 men out. Again, patience at the plate pays off, and now we're going to have a visit to the mound.
Corey Joyce.
And it looks like they're going to take Jeffers out of the game, so that's going to be all for him. He came in and pitched an inning and 2/3. That's going to be all for Jeffers, as the signal to the bullpen was already made. So we'll see who they'll go to here. And it is a call to the bullpen as we are in the 5th inning. 2-1 our score. HPU leads by a run. And again, they're talking things over, as that's going to be all for Jeffers. So they're going to get a new pitcher into the game here. To give you a quick recap of the game, 2-1 High Point with the 1-run lead. Checked out, it was a 1-run lead, I should say, coming into this inning, and now we're tied at 2 as Garrett Letchworth is going to be the new pitcher. For High Point, they got the first 2 runs of the game in the bottom of the second on a 2-run single to left by Trent Harris, who has since had to leave the game due to an injury, only to watch North Carolina Central get 1 run in the 4th on a fielder's choice in which the first baseman couldn't handle the throw. He didn't know where the ball was behind him. It allowed a runner to score all the way from second. And then here in the top of the 5th, a wild pitch allowed Fajardo to score from third base and tie the game. And that's where we stand right now, 2-2. Our score deuces wild here on the campus of High Point University. 2-3-1 for HPU and 2-5-1 for North Carolina Central. As Garrett Letchworth is the new pitcher in the game for High Point, they're going to go to the right-hander here. So this will be the 3rd right-hander used so far by the Panthers, starting with Godfrey, who left the game after the 1st. We're still not sure as to the reason why. Then the next inning in 2/3, they also went to Harrison Smith. Then they went to the lefty Cooper Jeffers. He was pulled, so he is responsible for the runner on second. And now they're going to go back to the right-hander, Garrett Letchworth. As we are here in the home half of the 5th inning, tied at 2. We're keeping it here along ESPN Plus, tied at 2 between HPU and North Carolina Central. John Carubba taking you through it. Thank you for tuning in. It has been a great afternoon and now early evening here on this Tuesday on the campus of High Point University and Willard Stadium. Tied at 2 apiece between the Panthers and the Eagles. So for the Eagles, they will stand in, and they're going to go with Corey Joyce coming to the plate. And he won the MEAC's Player of the Year award a year ago. Certainly a clutch player. Here's a chance to come through big time. Runner on second, 2 out. It'll be the first pitch from Letchworth. Fastball missing off the inside corner, maybe just a little bit low at the knees. 1-0. As we're in the bottom of the 5th inning, 2-2 our score, High Point and North Carolina Central. Taking his lead off second base for the Eagles, it is Carter Williams. Meanwhile, Joyce at the plate. Next pitch is swung on, hit in the air to center. This could be trouble. Going back, still going back. It's over his head. 1 hop to the wall. 1 run scores. Here comes the second run. He'll score. They're setting him to third and getting in there safely with the head first slide. Corey Joyce. He has a 2-run triple, and all of a sudden this game is turned on a dime. 3 runs by the Eagles here in the top of the 5th. Our score, North Carolina Central 4, High Point 2. That was a mistaken location, and Letchworth knew it. That ball was well struck to straightaway center. That ball just kept carrying and carrying. It went off the base of the wall, and once that happened, both runners came across the score, and North Carolina Central up by 2. First pitch is off the plate, down and in, and the count 1-0. New hitter is going to be Vinny Bailey. For High Point, this has been the exact opposite of their season to this point. They cruised through the first couple innings, and now their rough patches come here in the middle innings. Next pitch is swung on and missed as he got him to chase that time, count even. Meanwhile, that was a big, big hit right there. We said Corey Joyce is clutch, and you couldn't do it much better than that. For him, RBIs number 3 and 4 on the season. Next pitch is waved at and missed again, and the count quickly 1-2. And also for Corey Joyce, he had quite a few triples last season, and that was his first of this season to give North Carolina Central the 2-run lead. Up 4-2 here in the top of the 5th. Next pitch is swung on, belted, and that one just fouled down the right field line. The question wasn't whether that was going to be trouble, it was whether it was going to stay fair. And fortunately for the Panthers, unfortunately for the Eagles, it went foul, and we'll do it again on a 1-2. He got around on that one. One thing for High Point that you do have to be concerned about with Letchworth right now, it seems like he's missing his spots a lot. And these balls, they're not just getting hit, they're getting tattooed. As standing back in, the 1-2, check swing, did he go? No, he held up on the appeal, said the third base umpire, and that's Jamie Payne, and the count even 2-2. Meanwhile, for NC Central, Vinny Bailey just missed getting not only extra bases, but his 4th RBI of the season by just an inch or so at the most. As again, it'll be a 2-2. Swung on and missed, he got him, struck out on a fastball high and away, and that'll do it. But damn, it's certainly done. 3 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 1 man left on. The big blow, the 2-run triple to center. And as we go to the bottom of the 5th, we are halfway through. 4-2 North Carolina Central over High Point. Back here inside Willard Stadium on the campus of High Point University. Our score right now, 4-2 North Carolina Central with the 3-run lead over High Point. If you're just tuning in, a quick recap. High Point got off to a 2-0 lead in this game until Trent Harris got hurt. He gave them the 2-run lead early with the single to left. He got pulled for Nick Niakos, only to watch North Carolina Central turn it around on a dime. They got 1 run in the top of the 4th on a fielder's choice. And in the 5th really came the big blows, the haymakers, as they got 1 to tie the game. And then a 2-run triple to center off the bat of Corey Joyce. And that's where we stand right now, 4-2 North Carolina Central, as we hit the bottom of the 5th inning. For HPU, it'll be 9-1-2 in their lineup. Rahl, Dunbar, and Wells. Rahl dinging in from the right side. So now for High Point, they've been good offensively in the later innings. We'll see if they can work some magic here again. First pitch swung on, diving stop by the third baseman, thrown on to first, not in time as the throw pulled the first baseman off the bag. As it was costing the third baseman laying out, it deflected off his glove. He saved extra bases, but the throw was a 1-hopper, and the first baseman Bailey just couldn't handle it, so that'll be a well-earned base hit. And for High Point, they might have something going again. They have the leadoff hitter on in Brian Rahl, nobody out. Back to the top of the lineup we go for Connor Dunbar. Playing shortstop so far this afternoon, he'll stand in left side of the plate. Bell will be working from the first base side of the rubber. 4-2 first pitch. Squares to Button. He gets it down in front of the plate. The only play for the catcher is on to first, and it's made. So the sacrifice is successful. You score it 2-3, 1 away. As we're here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Meanwhile, moving up to second on that play is the catcher Brian Rahl. So the runner on second and 1 away. Here is the number 2 hitter in the lineup for High Point this afternoon, Tanner Wells. He'll stand in from the right side. Taking his lead off second base for High Point, it's Rahl. So Wells is at the plate after having kind of another rough afternoon, hitting just 133 now on the season. Looks at a pitch, down and inside, and the count is even, 1-0. As we're in the bottom of the 5th inning, 4-2, North Carolina Central is our score. It's a 1-0 count on Wells. Taking his lead off second. Next pitch is swung on and fouled back, and the count now is even at 1-1. In the bottom of the 5th inning, 4-6-1 for North Carolina Central, 2-4-1 for High Point. Wells dinged back in for the right side of the plate. It'll be a 1-1 with a good lead off second is Brian Rahl, the catcher. Taking his lead from first base side. Here comes the set and the pitch. Swung on and fouled away, as that's going to go well foul down the right field line. 1-2. As it's 1-2 for Tanner Wells. They really need him to get going. He was one of their better contributors with runners in scoring position last season. Not so much this year, but he has a big chance to come through here. He's got a runner on second with 1 man out. Next pitch is swung on and pops him up. And again, this is going to go well foul just to the right of the press box here at Willard Stadium. We'll do it over again on a 1-2. For High Point, not only are they losing by 2, they've already lost 2 key players in this game to injury. Their starter, Gottfried, and also Trent Harris, who has the only 2 runs on the game. Next pitch is on the inside corner. Strike 3 called. Punching him up. It is the home plate umpire, Randall Doolin. 2 away here in the Panthers half of the 5th. So once again, Wells fails to get the job done. This will leave it to Travis Holt, the number 3 hitter in the High Point lineup, to try and drive in Brian Rawl off second. He'll stand in from the right side of the plate. Holt will wait for the first pitch. Coming set. Here it comes. It is high and outside, and the count 1-0. As we're here in the bottom of the 5th inning, 4-2 North Carolina Central, our score. Standing in again from the right side. And waiting for the offering, it's going to be Travis Holt, who is hitting .375 so far on the season at a slugging percentage of .438. Here comes the 1-0 offering. And it is right down Broadway over the heart of the plate. Called for strike, 1-1. Meanwhile, Daniel Milwee, the designated hitter's on deck. And if you're High Point, even if he can't come through with a hit, if Holt can get on base, you then have Milwee on deck who has the power. He could change this whole game in an instant. Next pitch is off the plate, just a bit on the outer edge, off the black, and the count 2-1. Here in the bottom of the 5th inning, 4-2 our score. North Carolina Central with the 2-run edge. Standing in again from the right side of the plate. Holt awaiting the offering. Swung on in another high fly ball, sky high, foul territory, and giving it a look that time for North Carolina Central was the first baseman Bailey, but he couldn't get there as it went out of play, and the count is even 2-2. As the sun's starting to set now here in High Point, so the shadows again starting to creep in once more here as we get closer to 6 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon here at High Point. Bottom of the 5th inning, it's 4-2 North Carolina Central, our score. Once again, it'll be a 2-2. Off the plate a bit high and away, and the count has been worked to full, 3-2. So all of a sudden from 1-2, good job by Holt working his way back in this count. Now is up in the count. We'll see if they attack him or he gets a free pass to bring the designated hitter Milwee to the plate. The payoff pitch is swung on and fouled straight back. Boy, he knows he just missed one just a little bit early. And so the count remains 3-2. On the scoreboard again, 4-6-1 for North Carolina Central, 2-4-1 for High Point. John Carubba coming to you from Millard Stadium on the campus of High Point University on this Tuesday evening. North Carolina Central trying to get out of a jam, and they can't do so as that pitch is low and inside. So a free pass finally awarded, and heading on down to first is Holt. So that's exactly what you want if you're High Point. You now have the tying runs on base. So with 2 out, a shot to the gap would easily tie it, and you have a man with one swing at the bat could give him the lead. Meanwhile, for North Carolina Central, they're now going to have a meeting on the mound. Daniel Milwee, the designated hitter for High Point, standing in right side. First pitch is swung on and hit high in the air, a sky-high pop-up back behind the edge of the infield grass. There to call and make the catch for North Carolina Central, their second baseman Maslin, and just like that, the threat is retired and the side is over. So we'll take this now to the 6th inning. We're through 5 full. Our score 4-2 North Carolina Central over HPU along ESPN+. Back here at Willard Stadium on the campus of High Point University as we go to the 6th inning. Right now our score 4-2 North Carolina Central with a 2-run edge. Big blows in this one. For High Point, it was a 2-run single to left by Trent Harris. Meanwhile, for North Carolina Central, their big blows in this one. A couple of fielders' choices, but that 2-out triple to straightaway center. Right now, if this score holds, that would stand up as the game-winning hit, as it was a 2 RBI triple for Joyce. And that's where we stand right now, 4-2, North Carolina Central up, as Garrett Letchworth remains in the game for High Point. He came in to relieve Cooper Jeffers. Now remember, if this score holds, the loss would go to Jeffers because that first run was charged to him because that was his base runner. But for Letchworth, we'll see if he can rebound after really getting hit hard in that last half inning. We'll see if he can bounce back. We go to the sixth inning, 4-2, North Carolina Central. Digging in from the left side, it'll be 4, 5, and 6 in the Eagle lineup, starting with Bramall. First pitch on the letters at the inside corner, 0-1. 4, 6, and 1 on the box score for North Carolina Central, 2, 4, and 1 for HPU. Eagles stand back in for the left side. Bramall awaiting the offering. It'll be an 0-1. Swung on and tapped foul. Looked like it may have carried off the foot of Bramall. And the count, 0-2. A picturesque evening for baseball here on just this wonderful campus of High Point University and Willard Stadium. Again, beautiful night and a great sight for this one. Next pitch is down and inside. Try to get him to chase. No offer, 1-2. For North Carolina Central, starting the season at 4-2, this would be a big win for them at 5-2 if they could get it. Meanwhile, for High Point, it'd be a nice bounce back after losing their home opener last time they played on this field. Next pitch swung on, hard hit ground ball, left side of the infield. Throw to first in time as they retire Trammell, 1 gone. So Bramall is gone on the ground out. Relatively routine play there for Dunbar. He just came up on it about 2 or 3 steps, made the strong throw across the diamond to first. Plenty of time for Bramall to be retired, 1 gone. So a nice bounce back here for Letchworth so far. Just a couple of pitches, and Bramall is out. So here is Trey Maslin coming to the plate from the right side. First pitch is swung on and missed. Almost swung right out of his shoes on that offering, 0-1. We're in the sixth inning, 4-2. North Carolina Central with the 2-run edge. Maslin digging in for the right side of the plate. It'll be an 0-1 from Letchworth. Upstairs and inside, forcing him to bend off the plate. 1-1. For North Carolina Central, still guarding this 2-run lead, would like to add more. Their bullpen at times can have some hiccups in the later innings. Next pitch is swung on and laced foul down the right field line. And the count now 1-2. So HPU basically has been a game of almost 2 different proportions. They were very good for the first 3 innings. And then in the last couple, it's come apart on them. And North Carolina Central has taken advantage to have their first lead of the night at 4-2. Next pitch swung on, that is laced to right field, coming on and unable to make the grab that time, despite a great effort, was the right fielder Wells. And so that's going to be a well-struck 1-out single, and the Eagles have yet another runner aboard with 1 man out. The Eagles, after being pretty much dormant offensively in the first 2 innings, they've had base runners on in each of the last 3, and that continues on to the 6th. As they now have a runner on first with 1 man out. Digging in from the left side of the plate, here is Vinny Bailey with 1 gone and a runner on first. That's the 7th hit of the ball game for North Carolina Central, as Nick Fajardo was the one standing in at the plate now. He came around to score on that triple. Next pitch is on the outside corner, 0-1. He was also that base runner who made the great play on the double play that scored North Carolina Central's first run. Because the return throw was not located, he came all the way around from second to score. So he's crossed the plate a couple of times in this game. Next pitch is high and away, and now the set throw down to first, and just getting back in with the right hand that time, avoiding the tag. And getting back in there, it was Joyce, but boy, they almost had him picked off right there. As we're in the top of the 6th inning, 4-2 North Carolina Central with a 2-run edge. They'll set up on the outside third. Next pitch, and now the runner does go. It's swung on, and it is a foul ball. So it looked like he wanted to test the envelope and go for second. It looked like maybe the hit and run was on. And now he'll be forced to go back to first, and the count now 1-2. So a tough break there. You can see that North Carolina Central tried to make something happen by employing hit and runs. It worked to success last inning. That time didn't work out quite so well, as the count holds at 1-2. Dinging in from the left side, it is Fajardo. As Maslin taking his lead off first. Next pitch is a weak hack as they tied him up. Nice breaking ball down and outside, right over the top, and he is gone on the punch out, 2 away. So Fajardo, who was able to work his way on last time, not able to do so now. He's retired, 2 gone. Here is the third baseman, Miles Costin, coming to the plate with a runner on first and still 2 men out. He'll stand in from the right side. Costin will wait for the first pitch. And now a pick throw over to first. Nothing this time, as no tag was even applied. In the 6th inning, 4-2 North Carolina Central. They have doubled up High Point. So Fajardo, after the strikeout, Maslin is the one that is on first, and it is Costin at the plate as they throw back over to first again, that time a little bit closer. Maslin really needs to learn to tread carefully. He's already been picked off once at first base. That ended the 4th inning. I'm sure he certainly doesn't want to have that happen again as he takes his lead off. Next pitch is swung on and missed, as that was diving down and in at the hands. Nice bearing pitch, 0-2. On the other hand, Maslin, that's part of his game. We've mentioned him several times throughout this broadcast tonight. He certainly likes to steal and get on base, so on one hand, you don't want to be too careful. On the other hand, as the next pitch is off the plate down and away, you still don't want to be making outs on the base pass, as the count is now 2-1. We're in the 6th inning, 4-2 our score, North Carolina Central with a 2-run advantage. Digging back in from the right side, Costin. Here comes the pitch. It is downstairs and inside at the shoelaces again, and now it's certainly a hitter's count for the Eagle third baseman. Meanwhile, Maslin is off first. Maslin coming into today was 1 of 2 on stolen bases. Now he also got picked off for a 3rd time. As the pitch is swung on and missed, tied him up inside, diving down and in, and the count 2-2. 4-7-1 on the game for North Carolina Central, beating 2-4-1 for the Panthers. Again, Maslin just taking his lead off first, standing in right side. Again, it'll be a 2-2. It is on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. Punching him up that time, Randall Doolin. And that's it for North Carolina Central here in the 6th. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. 1 man left aboard. Let's take this to the home half of the 6th. Our score 4-2 North Carolina Central over the Panthers. As you're watching Big South Baseball and High Point Baseball on ESPN+. Back here inside Willard Stadium on the campus of High Point University. High Point, North Carolina is the scene of this good game so far between North Carolina Central and High Point. HPU jumping out early to the 2-0 lead in the 2nd, only to watch North Carolina Central score 4 unanswered in the 4th and 5th innings. And as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, John Carubba taking you through this one. High Point coming to the plate, looking to get a rally going. For High Point, 5, 6, and 7 in the lineup, Woodard, Zajac, and Russell. Woodard digs in from the right side of the plate. First pitch is on the inside corner, letter high. You can see Woodard maybe didn't agree with the call, but it's 0-1. This is the 2nd inning of work for the left-hander Chris Krenrick, the sophomore, as it's going to be an 0-1 home to the righty swinging Woodard. High and outside, and the count is back to even at 1-1. On the box score, 4-7-1 for North Carolina Central, 2-4-1 for High Point. Woodard digging back in from the right side of the plate. Pitch is swung on, hit high in the air down the left field line, coming on strong, and it's going to fall in there for a base hit. So stopping right there is Woodard, and that's exactly what they needed. It fell in as they had to go a long way. First, the left fielder had to come all the way out. That's Carter Williams. He had to come in quite a few strides. Meanwhile, at the same time, the third baseman was coming outwards, and that's Miles Costin, and the ball fell between the two of them. So it's a leadoff single for Woodard. And that's exactly the type of bloop that they need. They now have the leadoff runner on and nobody out. So that's the fifth hit on the night for the Panthers. They have a runner on first with no one out. Here is Sam Zajac to the plate. First pitch is swung on and hit in the air to straightaway left center. Coming on and unable to make the catch was the left fielder Williams or the center fielder for High Point. They now have the first two runners on with no one out. So moving up to second on that was Woodard, and Zajac is on first with nobody out. Again, it was Williams. It looked like he started out, came inward, and then the center fielder, which was Fajardo, made a diving attempt. He couldn't come up with it either, and High Point now has runners on first and second with nobody out. So the Panthers are certainly set up now with their fifth and sixth hits of the game. First pitch into a new hitter is on the inside corner for a first strike. And it is Ryan Russell at the plate now. He'll stand in again from the right side. The lefty Kreinreich is on the mound. Russell digging in from the right side of the plate. Next pitch is just off the plate a bit high and away, and the count 1-1. It's amazing. High Point had struck some baseballs hard over the last couple innings, couldn't find holes. Now two of their softer hit fly balls in this inning, they found a way to find holes, and now all of a sudden they're set up as the 1-1 is swung on. Popped up foul off first, and unable to make the catch and foul ground was the first baseman that time for the Eagles, and that was Vinny Bailey. So it's going to be 1-2, but that was a great attempt. He had to go a long way down that right field line and foul ground. Just couldn't come up with it, and it's 1-2. So for High Point, thanks to two bloop singles in a row, they have the first two men on with nobody out. As Russell is at the plate, Zajac is off first and Woodard off second. It'll be a 1-2 with no one out. It is off the inside corner just a bit, 2-2. Kreinreich working himself into a bit of a jam with a 2-2 count and runners off first and second. Kreinreich tore on the rubber from the third base side. Working out of the stretch, the pitch is swung on and fouled straight back. And boy, Russell missed his pitch right there. That was mistaken location, and he ripped it just a hair early, and it goes foul. As the count remains 2-2. Here in the bottom of the sixth inning, 4-2 North Carolina Central the score. High Point threatening. They have the tying runs on board. Lead run at the plate. Taking his lead off second, Woodard. Taking a lead off first, Zajac. Next pitch is swung on, and again he fouls it off. Boy, really making him work hard in this at-bat. For Russell, if nothing else, he's kind of showing the pitcher's repertoire to the on-deck hitter. And that's Brian Rawl, the catcher. Yeah, standing back in from the right side. From the first base side of the rubber, here comes the 2-2. Check swing, and did he go? No, he did not on the appeal as they went down to the first base umpire, Lindy Hall, and the count full 3-2. As Rawl is the in-the-hole hitter, Niarchos is the one that's on deck. Standing back in from the right side of the plate, awaiting another full count offering. Swung on, check swing. It's a one-hopper right side infield bobbled. They still recover to get the out at second. However, there will be no return throw back to first. And so for Russell, he reaches on the fielder's choice So it's now runners on the corners with one away. Again, if you're scoring at home, they're going to score that the 3-6 force out, as it was the shortstop covering the second base bag to get the out.
Second baseman, number 19, Nick Niarchos.
So Nick Niarchos is coming to the plate from the right side. He's got runners on the corners, one away. Now for him, even just a deep fly ball to center or to the outfield would get a run back for High Point. We'll see if he kind of comes in with that type of approach. First pitch in is off the plate, high and away, 1-0. Niarchos came into the game after Trent Harris had to leave the game. Harris was the one that had that 2 RBI single to left back in the second inning. Standing in from the right side of the plate again, Niarchos. He's got runners on the corners, one man out as they throw over to first. The pick attempt, but it goes nowhere as back in safely. Sliding on that was Russell. Niarchos, the right-handed hitter, against the lefty, throwing Krenrick. Krenrick towing the rubber from the third base side. And standing in from the right side of the plate is Niarchos. Awaiting the 1-0, and now they throw over, and the pick throw gets away. Here comes the runner to the plate. He will score standing up. Throw to second, not in time. Sliding in safely is Russell. Meanwhile, coming across the plate to score, it was Woodard. And in the home half of the sixth inning, our score, it's now North Carolina Central 4 and HPU 3. First, just a little bit too rushed. The first baseman, Bailey, could not handle that throw. And much like we saw North Carolina Central do on that double play ball, the Panthers were able to get the runner home from third. So it's back to a one-run game, tying run and scoring position. Next pitch off the plate, down and outside, and the count now 2-0. As we're in the bottom of the sixth, that's the second error on the game for North Carolina Central, so no RBI on that play. 4-7-2 now for the Eagles, and 3-6-1 for High Point. Next pitch is high and outside. He takes it, and now quickly Niarchos in a very good hitter's count, 3-0. You almost wonder if that's starting to bother Krenrick, as he has lost the zone apparently to this at-bat so far. Niarchos stinging in from the right side. It'll be a 3-0 home. It is upstairs and inside, a 4-pitch walk, and the threat continues for High Point. They now have runners on first and second, and one away. And that may be all for Krenrick as they're coming out to the mound. Runners on first and second, and one away for the Panthers. Already a run home here in the bottom of the sixth. 4-7-2 for North Carolina Central, 3-6-1 for High Point. And are they actually calling to the bullpen? It looks like yes, they are. So we'll see how they go to. Again, in the bottom of the sixth, High Point with a run in as they've cut the deficit from 4-2 back to 4-3. We'll keep it right here along ESPN Plus. High Point still trying to fight their way back in. Give them credit, after getting up 2-0, with the way their season has gone to this point. Once they got down 4-2, they could have packed it in. But the Panthers, to their credit, have not done that. They have fought their way back. They've had a threatening inning to this point. They just got a run. And now, again, as mentioned, they have the tying run in scoring position with less than 2 out. They even have the lead run on base. So for the Panthers, again, you got to give them props for fighting back. That's something that they used to be able to do in seasons past. Haven't quite been able to do it so well this season. Now, in fairness, they do have a lot of younger players, especially in the lineup, due to all the losing of the juniors and seniors. But right now, they're showing some of that resiliency that they need to get back in this game, as it's 4-3 North Carolina Central. Again, on the box score, 4-7-2 for the Eagles, 3-6-1 for the Panthers. John Carubba on the call for this one, and it's been just a great night, picture perfect for baseball here from High Point, North Carolina, and Willard Stadium. We are pleased that you tuned in to this broadcast on ESPN Plus. North Carolina Central still leading by a run. As they're going to a right-hander here are the Eagles. So they went to Bell for 4. They used Kreidenreich for the last inning in 2/3. And now we're going to have another pitching change as they're going back to a right-hander. And for North Carolina Central, it's going to be Tom Guglielmello, number 27, the junior right-hander. He comes in. He'll take over for Kreidenreich, who is responsible for the 2 runners on base. So it's runners on first and second and 1 man out. Standing in from the right side of the plate for High Point, it's going to be their number 9 hitter, their catcher, Brian Rawl. And if he could come through with the hit here, talk about its debut with the team. He already caught a runner stealing and now in a big spot in the game. First pitch, swung on and missed, tied him up inside, handcuffed him, let her high with the fastball, 0-1. For Rawl, 1 for 2 so far on the evening, batting .500. Hey, he keeps that up. He'll certainly be named to the Big South All-Team. Standing in from the right side of the plate, it's Rawl. Swung on and hit up the middle. Let's see if they can turn 2. Flip the second one. On to first. In time, they got him. That is an outstanding defensive play by North Carolina Central. The small flip, the strong throw to first, and that'll do it for High Point. 1 pitch, and the inning is over. So 1 run on 1 error and 1 man left. We'll take this to the 7th. 6 in the books. Our score, North Carolina Central 4, HPU 3 on ESPN+.